Right, moving right along with our next panel. Do we have any podcast fans in the room? Anybody know anything about Transformers? No. Well, if you don't know anything about Transformers, then I would recommend that you listen to these three gentlemen, because they have, I wouldn't say burst onto the scene, but they've been doing it for a while now, and they have been doing some incredible work. And they came to our show last year and did a panel for us, and it was so wonderful that we've brought them back again. Please welcome the Triple Takeover team! Right, hello everyone. How are we all doing? Great. Thank you so much for having us back again this year. We had a fantastic time doing a panel at TF Nation last year, and when they kind of mooted the idea of us coming back to do one this year, I think it was a resounding yes pretty quickly. We were fairly happy, weren't we? Sure, okay. Liam's still slightly unaccustomed to public speaking, I think.
Just going to stand here.
You can hide behind him this year, you couldn't hide behind me last year.
So for those of you that don't know us, we are Triple Takeover. I've already spoken to a couple of people tonight that are very familiar with the podcast and have been, maybe listening since day one or whatever it is. And I've spoken to a couple of people that have never heard us before as well. All are welcome. So what we like to do, or what we did last year and what we're going to try and do again this year, is not just do a live recreation of the podcast, because that would just be three middle-aged men on stage talking to one another, which doesn't sound that engaging, I'm sure you'll agree. Maz is giving me the frown when I say middle-aged. I said it in rehearsal, and I don't think you were quite prepared for me saying it live.
I don't think our plan changes the fact that it's three middle-aged men doing this thing.
Right, absolutely. So we do have a bit...
And I think when they see the theme, it's going to be even more middle-aged.
Very true, actually. I don't think it's not going to not age us, let's put it that way. But yeah, we do have a little bit of a thing that we're going to run through with you. Before we get to that, we should do some introductions. So this is us.
Is it really, though?
Should have worn those outfits.
Liam, why are you not wearing your tux live tonight?
It's a special occasion, one night only.
Oh, absolutely. So, yeah, we kind of got on the old Barbie theme, as you can see. So yeah, that is us. If you're not familiar with us, we're on Twitter or whatever else as well. But you can find our podcast. Oh, actually, I've got some news for you. I nearly forgot this bit. But what's been happening since last year? So there has been some happenings, hasn't there? First of all...
No, the dog's not new.
There's my beloved dog. Finally got the Fort Manx, and she's very happy about it, even though she's been a bit replaced by it. So.
Bit of a legendary purchase, this one. And there was a bit of a Fort Max theme to our updates this year, because here we go. What's happening here?
Wow. Maz, have you opened it yet?
You can see the answer is no.
We see this.
In the storage room.
Every recording, we can see this in the background, and he talks about it, but he still has not opened it.
Okay.
It's just too large.
We are still talking about Fort Max here, aren't we?
Yes. And it's just holding up all my Diaclone boxes, so it's too useful to remove.
Take him out of the box, you still use it.
Meanwhile,
and of course they were all on show when we went to this place earlier.
The least surprising slide you'll ever see.
You never miss an opportunity to say, well, I've got three of the buggers.
I do kind of want to clarify that this photo was not even my idea. This was you that suggested I take this photo.
Just casually in the background.
It was already in the cabinet. I mean, what am I to do?
Classic flexer.
So yeah, so a few Fort Max themed updates. But yeah, if you're not familiar with us, then we do have, I'll click on. There we go. We do have a bit of a podcast. You can find us at tripletakeover.com. We are on YouTube as well, and I know a lot of people do listen to us via YouTube. What I would just say on that is that we have to, sometimes we put in little silly music and things like this, and we have to take it out for YouTube, because then you get copyright slapped and things like that. So I would suggest that if you want the full experience, YouTube's fine, but actually all of these other places are even better. So we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Spotify, this is all free, you can listen to us on there, and we've got quite a few episodes now.
Wait, this is not entirely accurate, is it?
Oh, is it not?
Well, apparently Stitcher is going...
Oh, right.
It's not 100% up to date.
Yeah, if you are really excited about the podcasting world, then apparently Stitcher is no more. So that might be a crucial update.
Does anyone here listen on Stitcher?
No, it's fine. Okay, we can move on then. All good. So last year when we came to you, this was going to be, well, this was our output at the time, and we presented this because we had a bit of an update, we were launching some new content, and we said that at the time we'd done all of this, basically. And this is, the Decepticon theme ones are our public episodes, so we got up to about, what was it, episode 37. And the rest of it was Patreon stuff that, you know, is obviously kind of behind the paywall or what have you. So that's where we were, and what's pretty exciting. Well, I know, yeah, it happened. We were allowed to talk about the Omnibots, finally. And then this year, there's been obviously a bit of an update, because this is just our public episodes now. So if you were to start listening to us today, and you never have, there are now 60 episodes, roughly about 2 hours a piece. It's quite a lot of content, isn't it? It's a lot of us talking.
You said it was 5 days back to back.
Yeah, I worked it out, yeah. It was 5 days solid, without a break. No sleep in that time, that you could sit down and listen to us.
Or lots of sleep.
Exactly. Is that appealing? I don't know.
5 days, that feels like 5 years.
Yeah, it really does. So that's us. But we do also have... This clicker does not work very well. There we go. We'd also have a bit of a Patreon, don't we, Maz?
Yes, so if you have somehow made your way through all 5 days of that, we did last year on this stage introduce our update to Patreon. So we decided that we were going to add a new tier and do even more content so that it would be exclusive and it would be weekly. And I'd like to say it hasn't taken a toll, but you know, look at the white hair. So on our Patreon, we have a number of perks, and we've tried to condense it on this slide to the things that we think people would be most interested in. So we have the Man in Pig, which you can sign up for, and the best perk there is that you get the episodes, the public episodes, a whole week early. And I mean, I don't think I'm wrong in saying that some of the stuff we've offered, things like having Mark Mayer and BMAC from Hasbro on the podcast, there have been people who really appreciated the opportunity to listen to that early. So that's definitely a perk. This is really your thing, right?
You know, get some fancy artwork.
Yes, so depending, it kind of feels like whatever got ribbed the most in the episode ends up on the artwork. So me mistakenly saying that I like the Time Warrior watch and then spending the rest of the half an hour of that episode being ribbed for it, at least they got onto the exclusive artwork. So we do really nice artwork that's available when you're listening to the podcast, and you know that's something that takes 6 hours a lot of time to do, and we absolutely love the artwork. Well, it says regular.
There are some.
We have outtakes and bloopers, and sometimes they find their way onto the Patreon. And it's just got to the point where we have so many of them now that we need to go back and see what
There's a little boatload to do, isn't there?
Yeah, okay, but they are good. And that's available, I think it's also available at Man and Pig and higher. The biggest thing we added since last year, other than the tier, was that we added a Discord server. Now, one of the things we've noticed in the last couple of days is we've got people on our Discord who've signed up at Inner Beast and higher, and they're literally having meetups around the hotel. We've seen pictures of them meeting up early, forming little communities that then they've got someone to be here with. They know in advance there's someone who has a shared interest, someone who shares a space with them online, and they know that that person is going to be here, and they'll come and they'll meet those people. It's encouraged people to come to TF Nation for the first time, and that's something we're incredibly proud of. And that community is a really positive environment. We've had people sign up just to be part of that community. I think even when they were done with the toys, even if they weren't catching up with the episodes, they were still willing to be on the Discord, and we are on there regularly as well. So that is a massive perk that we've added since last time. Thank you to you. You guys are amazing.
Some wonderful people on our Discord. We even have a little channel called Liam's Breakfast, so there you go.
What goes in there?
That's what everybody wants to know. What was it this morning? It was Shreddies, wasn't it?
Was it?
Yeah, I think it was, yeah.
See?
Liam stayed at mine last night, and I have to tell you, about a week ago, I told my son about this. He's a big fan of Liam, he's really taken a shine to him.
Small mammals, children and...
Yeah, my cat as well actually loves Liam, that's a thing. But my son, I said to my son, are you going to make Liam a breakfast again this year? And he said, yeah, I am, Daddy, yeah. He's going to get a bowl of cereal with some crisps in it.
It's a prawn cocktail.
Yeah, completely unprompted.
I was excited.
Right, now we're getting to the real perks here. So, for a while now we've been doing our mini-sodes. We call them mini, but they quite regularly run over an hour. And this is at 6.0's Butler's tier and higher. Not only do we have the exclusive content on these mini-sodes, so for example, we've just done a whole episode on 1987 Transformers, and then we'll pick something like Scorponok or Fort Max, or some really specific aspect of a main episode, and do another smaller episode on it exclusive to Patreon. And those who sign up at that tier can also commission topics that we will do, and we've had some lovely ones to do there. I think the ones that we're most proud of recently is we had Chris McFeely and Paul Hitchens on to talk about unreleased stuff, early scripts from Transformers the movie. I think we even answered the question of who is the person who says, you want me to gut Ultra Magnus in the movie? So we had Paul on, and he said, could you actually just look at the storyboard and tell us who it is who says that? So he flicked to the page and was like, there was the name, and that is on one of our minisodes. And no, I'm not going to tell you, you're just going to have
It was mad. It was just like, oh, I'll just check Vince DiCola's paperwork, and I'll just pull it out. And it was like, what a privilege is this?
Right. And our highest tier is the mini-series. That's where, for example, 6.0 is finally reading More Than Meets the Eye by IDW. He doesn't actually read it out. It's not an audio. He talks about it. So we've also had James Roberts come on, and we've had a two-parter with James. So it's been great fun to read these comics again, to have James listen to what we say about it, then come on and tell us how wrong we are for telling people that it's pronounced Scavengers, which it isn't apparently. That has been amazing fun to read those again. It's probably my favourite content, is talking about those IDW More Than Meets the Eye. I've been collecting Unicron Trilogy, 20 odd years too late. And every toy I discover, we talk about, and it'd be lovely if we could get some guests on for that as well. And we also have Liam, who does his mini-series, a bit more on that later.
We'll take a look at that, yeah, definitely. So here are all our mini-sodes.
It's not bad, is it?
Yeah, it's pretty good. So there's a lot there, and as Matt said, I think we've been really honoured by some of the guests we've had. There is one more coming, yeah, next week. But yeah, we've been really honoured with some of the guests we've had, and some of the content and things that we've been able to produce. And the reaction to this has just been overwhelming as well. So I think it's really touched us quite a bit, you know, with how grateful we've been with it all. So, and then here's our mini-series.
Wow. If you weren't bored of hearing us enough already, there is more. So we all have our own individual mini-series, which is quite a complicated name for these little things. But the first one is 6.0 reading IDW More Than Meets the Eye. Everyone's read that, haven't you?
Yeah. Has anyone not read it?
Yeah. Still reading it at the moment, so.
You still have time to catch up.
Yeah. I was saying to someone yesterday, they were like, how did you never read it? And I was like, it was just, you know, what was it, 2012, 2013? It was just not in that place for it at the time. And then my son was born, and just life passed me by, and it was always a thing that I was like, I've got to sit down and read it, and this is finally happening, so it's dead exciting. But that's true of Unicron Trilogy toys, isn't it?
So, you've never experienced these before, have you? So
No.
we are getting to experience...
Just in the pub.
The little look of joy in your face every time you open a new one.
Yeah.
Perfect for that.
Spoiler alert, I've not hated any of those so far, but it's cost me a lot of money. This was genuinely a really, really bad idea. The content's alright.
It's amazing watching his cabinets where all the obscure stuff is suddenly being replaced by Unicron Trilogy.
And then we have the legendary series, sometimes known as Liam's Vintage Soapbox, sometimes known as...
This is not the real name.
I think it was even better when we had Raz on as a guest, and many of you will know Raz as, you know, one of the most prolific prototype collectors in Transformers out there, and he came on and for some reason thought it was called Twatman.
Suggested the spin-off podcast of Twatman and Robin. That's absolutely perfect.
I was less on board with that. I'm not on with it. Unless I'm Robin in this scenario.
So what's this about then?
But yeah, so if you would like to hear about things other than Transformers, join me here. So I introduced these guys to toy lines that I just assume everybody knows about. but they'd never heard of the Bionic 6, or they'd never seen Defenders of the Earth, the toys.
He was the one who hadn't seen Defenders of the Earth. He hadn't even seen Dungeons and Dragons.
That is true. I just had Transformers as a kid, I don't know what to tell you.
You've just turned an entire crowd against it.
Yeah. See how I get on later.
But yeah, so we get to talk about these toy lines, and it's just nice to bring them back and for people who have never seen them before. 6-0. And even though as we discovered
It's
each
just
time,
the 6-0.
what was the line? I'm getting this memory. I think I had this once, which turns out he's had all of them.
That's not true. It turns out that, I know there's a running joke that I have all of Transformers. It turns out that as a child, Liam had all of toys. Whatever it was.
1 or 200. That's perfect.
So yeah, that is our mini-series content. So, depending on what level you sign up at or what have you, you can get access to this stuff. The great news is that if you do sign up today, you get access to the whole back catalogue instantaneously. So it's, if you've got a long car journey or something, that's pretty good.
And the next slide is what we're doing today, right?
It is. So we do have a bit of a discussion topic in mind for this session. It's not just us updating you about our Patreon. This is really, really important because this is a topic we've been dying to talk about, and it's going to be Rise of the Beasts. It's not really, don't worry, we're not actually talking
I just had a
about...
moment of panic. I was like, oh god, wait, there's another slide. Oh, it's that.
It was his idea.
Don't blame me.
No,
It was his idea.
You'll get yours later.
We're not really talking about Rise of the Beast, just Maz, I think Maz is done with talking about Rise of
Job
the
done
Beast.
there, thanks very much.
Yeah, there we go. We're actually going to do this.
There's no actual fighting.
This is where we age ourselves. Yeah, so we're going to physically fight on the stage. Place your bets now. Place your bets. Everyone's, I can hear people saying Liam. I don't know why. I don't know if that means you're going to win or what.
What are you trying to say?
I don't know.
I think I heard someone just bet on me, actually.
So the idea of this is that, for those of you that made it to last year, we did Room 0101, where we talked a little bit about things that we weren't so keen on in Transformers Collective.
It's not very us.
Yeah, exactly. It was we don't often talk about the stuff we don't like. We tend to focus on the things we do like. We're back on theme today because we have got a bit of a Mortal Kombat theme, and we're going to look at various eras of Transformers, various lines, and choose the best toys. You got it easy.
Right, so. Okay.
You've no idea how much discussion went into getting that music. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Yes! MVP. Okay, so we have not got all the eras of Transformers because if anyone remembers, in Mortal Kombat 1, you could only choose from 7 characters. So we limited it to that as well. We've got Generation 1, Beast Wars, Animated, Masterpiece, Alternators and Biotech, Car Robots, Robots in Disguise, and Unicron Trilogy. So the idea is that we will ask you to make as much noise for the category you'd like us to select, and then once we select a category, we're going to go in and we each picked what we think is the best toy in that particular era or category, and we're going to make a case for it. And then after all 3 of us have made our case, we turn it over to you, you make some noise, decide who's done the better job, or decide who you agree with, who you don't agree with. And I think we're aiming to get through about 3 of these, but depending on how good or bad a job we do, we might be doing a few more. And there is no secret character in the middle. Apologies. And if there's an era missing, well, you remember the Mortal Kombat 2 character select screen had a lot more choices. So we'll just see what happens next year. So, should we do the selection?
Yeah.
Okay, so this might take a little bit of trial and error, and you're going to have to make some noise. Who wants to hear about Beast Wars?
Yeah.
Why would I hear? Who wants to hear about G1?
Yeah.
Who wants to hear about Animated?
Yeah.
Masterpiece?
It's really good bollocks to be slow as well.
Final Tech and Alternators? Okay, Car Robots, alright. Unicron trilogy?
Yeah!
We have some clear winners here. Shall we start with animated then? That was the choice.
If we could click on the little Grimlock picture, just there, please. There we go. Oh, no, we've gone to the wrong slide. Hang on, we've gone to the wrong slide.
Yeah, that won't be that one.
Yeah, just click on point. No, no.
No?
Go back one.
You're using up a lot of your coins, man.
This works so well in practice.
Yeah.
There we go. We're on.
So,
Right.
what we decided to do, instead of putting all three up on the screen at the same time, we're going to do one at a time. And do we want a timer, or I think it'd be pretty quick. Okay.
Keep it breezy.
So, let's go.
Maz, this is your choice.
No, sure. Okay. So I've gone with my favourite figure of Transformers animated as the deluxe class Blur. Just show of hands, how many people have owned this figure before? Pretty good. Okay. So this was a figure I was introduced to by our own friend group. When I collected animated in 2008, this was not a figure I picked up, so I picked it up much later in collecting, maybe 5-6 years ago. As far as animated goes, they're all known for screen accuracy, great posability, really, really fun toys, well put together, and I think as far as deluxe class goes, nothing works better than Blur. This thing is super posable, beautifully accurate to the screen. The alt mode is absolutely glorious, and it reminds me of Trans-Tech. It can do the run.
You have to see how many of Maz's pictures are doing the run.
Yeah. But I can't remember another deluxe class toy in the line that was quite as enjoyable to transform and looked as good as this does. Because yes, it's got the animated aesthetic, and I remember people either really gelling with this aesthetic or not, but I feel like this one kind of transcends that aesthetic a little bit, and it's a beautiful toy regardless. It's extremely Blur, which is also a good thing. Not everyone likes Blur.
I don't hate this one.
No, exactly. I don't think you would hate this one. I don't think anyone could hate this toy. And the Cheetor repaint was incredible as well. So, also size-wise, it was really impressive, and it's just the most sleek car mode I've ever seen this character have. I had all of animated, or every class. The only thing I was missing were the Stunticon job toys, and Minerva, I think. And this was easily the standout animated toy for me. And I love the Japanese one for having the chrome paint. I think it had chrome paint on it. But yeah, that's my choice, animated Blur.
I mean, it's good, but... I rest my case.
Good. You can talk less for one.
Right, sure. No danger of that, don't worry. I'll keep it brief, but I do love this thing. I'm a famous last words. I'm a relatively recent convert to animated as well. It was just another one that, again, kind of in that mid-2000s era, one I wasn't massively collecting, what have you. So, and having come into it with sort of fresh eyes, there were certain characters, I had seen the cartoon back in the day, and there were certain characters that of course stand out as just being absolute legends from that show. And this to me, the leader class, Bulkhead especially, is a toy that absolutely matches up to the cartoon in every single way. It's just incredible from top to bottom. It looks fantastic in both modes. It's thrilling to transform. It's nicely posable in a way that it should be for a toy that, you know, is bulky, as the character should be. And it's got some really cool features as well. And it's just one of those. I posted this on my Twitter recently, and I was amazed when the photo went over like 1,000 likes. And I think it just shows what this character and this iteration of this character means to people. It's just the absolute poster boy of animated. And so for me, there could be no better choice.
Is that also because you've got like 8 billion followers on Twitter?
No, it's not. I don't have 8 billion. God.
You mean X?
Right. What about you, Liam?
Well, I chose this one because it's my favourite and not because it's the only one I have a photo of.
Weird choice.
Rise of the Beasts, huh?
Weird choice. Don't know what's going on with that.
Liam chose a urinal.
I thought we would...
I got you both, man. I got you both. Don't know what to tell you.
Sold me out. Sold me.
It was after you'd already suggested selling him out, if that makes you feel any better. So, Wheelie.
Terrific toys. One of the best.
Don't worry.
Is that the masterpiece?
There is a real choice. Somewhere. I can't click on.
He's not a bad
No, he's stuck with it. Go on, sell him.
It won't let me do it.
preferred wheelie now. Okay, so I picked this toy, and again, I just think it's brilliant. It's like the perfect Rodimus that we've ever had. Because it's just got its own style, it's unique. And again, it's not because this is the only animated toy I had a photo of, and that's why it's here. But it's just a wonderful toy. They're all great, but it's Rodimus, isn't it?
Voiced by Judd Nelson.
Yeah. Tiny Judd Nelson.
Yeah, I've got to admit, I can't be angry about this one. I would agree, it's a pretty legendary Rodimus.
Pink.
Well, the Takara version is even more kind of pinky. If you've seen that one, that's really stunning. So.
It's purple.
Yeah. It is kind of purple, yeah.
As far as repaints
More
as
pink.
well, it had some amazing repaints, so they used the mould really, really well.
They have a really inventive transformation as well, something I've never really seen before. And it's just a cool Rodimus.
So we're going to put it to a vote.
Right.
Rodimus.
So who's going for animated blur?
That's better than my choice.
Pretty good, pretty good. Bulkhead? Kind of, yeah, I mean, hot rod.
Something it is, something?
Yeah, there we go. I think that was Rodimus, definitely.
Okay.
So, well done, Liam. You've got one round in your pocket. Well done.
Okay, so Unicron Trilogy got quite a loud shout.
It did.
So I think we're going to go with, is that fair, Unicron Trilogy? Yeah. Alright, so can we have the extraordinarily handsome Megazarek in the corner?
Okay.
Right, so 23 years too late, 22 years too late. It was about exactly a year to the day that I finally got to experience Superlink or Energon Landmine. This is a toy that I think you had brought to the pub.
Yep. Oh no, I don't think I brought it to the pub. I think it was Fancy Dan.
That's Fancy Dan, by the way. Anyone know this is Fancy Dan?
You're wearing the fanciest shirt imaginable.
So this was brought to the pub, and this was at a time where I had no interest in Unicron Trilogy at all. But this toy, in its vehicle mode, and even in its robot mode, I looked at it and I realised, okay, there is something special going on here. But it took probably about a decade from that point until I actually owned this. And it was the very first Unicron Trilogy toy I owned. And I think I started right at the top. I mean, you take this thing out of the box, you handle it, and immediately you realise they don't make toys like this anymore. It doesn't handle like anything else that comes out these days. It's chunky, it's got extending legs, it's got ankle tilts, it's got a gorgeous head sculpt, and that head sculpt is not just painted onto there, there's like a separate piece for his visor, it's all moulded and painted underneath as well. He's got his backpack, so he's got two robot modes, he's got his little carriage, he's got his lasers on, and he's got an incredible Mad Max vehicle mode as well. One of the most enjoyable transformations I've ever experienced. Even down to the backpack, just folding up the wheels, the way they sort of concertina closed. Just a little touch like that is super satisfying. Incredibly lovely, bulky toy in hand. I can't think of anyone who you put this toy in front of and their eyes just wouldn't be drawn to it immediately. It's just, and that's the standard version. You've got the Land Shark version, which is even more Mad Max. You've got the white version too. It's still something that draws my eye. Like, I have got all my UT on one shelf, and that one still catches my eye. It's such a beautiful toy. It's not small. It's glorious. I can't tell you how excited I was every single time I got to play with it. And I just realised after 20 years, something like this really, really cuts deep today. Like, if you've never experienced these toys and you pick that up today, I don't know if there's any in the dealer hall. But
Doing them a favour.
it just, I would love to see the look on someone's face if they've never experienced this toy and they pick it up today. Like, that would be something to see, because that was my experience last year. And I've bought loads of toys in this line in a very short period of time. But when they asked me, what's your favourite? I mean, it was still the first, so I'm going for Landmine.
And he makes a joke for you.
I don't know, mine doesn't make any sounds with the Superlink one.
So my choice is a bit of a classic, I think, but it has to be. I gave this one a lot of thought, actually, what was my best Unicron Trilogy toy, and I just kept coming back to this thing. Of course, it's Armada Megatron, and I know there's a new version out, and the Legacy version looks incredible, don't get me wrong. But there's still something about this thing. When I kind of sort of started to wane on collecting in the early 2000s, I had got into car robots, and I'd done Beast Wars and loved all of that. And then when the Unicron Trilogy came around the first time, I was just at sort of the wrong age for it, I think. I'm going to sound really old now. But the one toy that I did get at the time that I always loved was this. And throughout those kind of like wilderness years before coming back to collecting, it was one that just never really left my brain. There was something about it that was so unique, but still so quintessentially Megatron about it, and I just think it's incredible. Firstly, look at it. I mean, it's absolutely incredible to behold. It's got paint applications like nothing else that you see on a lot of toys this sort of size. It's got gimmicks up the wazoo. I mean, it's got, you know, so much Minicon interactivity. It's got a little jail and things like that in the legs, and it's the kind of gimmickry that's normally reserved for like a Titan toy or a Fort Max or something like that, and yet it's in a toy that's perfectly manageable. So I just think it's incredible. The one complaint I always hear about this thing is that it doesn't have knees. And I kind of think, yeah, I get that, but it doesn't detract from everything else this toy does well. Plus, it's got a little fold-out shiv in the hand, so that already, sorry, that's the best gimmick on any toy in the last 40 years, as far as I'm concerned. So it's just...
Says more about you than the toy.
I don't know why it feels, it always did. So, and you know, it's just brilliant, look at it. Right, what have you chosen?
So those are good choices. But how many Transformers can do aerobics and deep lunges?
Got him again.
This is just cruel.
I don't know why you picked this one, mate, honestly.
I'm calling Childline after this.
You know it's supposed to not be the worst toy.
Well, this...
There you go.
See, now this is a great toy. How many can do these kind of lunges at the Starscream? And this Starscream is a great toy. Has anybody owned this in here? Yeah. It's a classic. So I got this for 20p from a car boot, and whenever nephews and nieces come around, it's been amazing. This is my stunt toy, so it's got an extra life because the kids come around and they'll be like, sure, you can have MP10, but what about this? So this guy has lived life, man. He's been everywhere.
Can you do that lunge?
Huh?
Can you do that lunge?
I could 10 years ago. Or after a beer at the bar. But it's just an amazing toy, and it was the first time we got a Tetrajet, and it just folds up into a little Dorito. It's very spiky. It's got swords and tiny little arms.
Are you a fan of the cyber key gimmick?
Yeah, because it comes out like, you remember, has anyone ever owned G1 Jetfire and you press the button and the wheels come out and it wraps your nail? You know the feeling, don't you? You know exactly what that is. It does that. It comes out and snaps.
Right, so, voting time. Who's for landmine? Megatron?
Yeah!
Liam's lunge? I think it was Megatron.
I think so, I'm not saying.
No, I reckon Megatron won that one. And I've just got that toy and it's just incredible. It's amazing. So yeah, Megatron wins that one.
Good choice, people. Good choice.
Right, now I don't remember which got as big a cheer, so I'm just going to run through them again and see what we get. So who wants to hear G1?
Yeah!
Beast Wars?
Yeah!
Okay. Masterpiece was... Yeah, I don't know. Car Robots?
Yeah!
Right, I think Beast Wars needs to be next. Beast Wars it is? That's the hideous fish.
Sadly, I don't think he features on the slide, does he?
No, he doesn't.
A bit of a shame. Right, Maz, your choice was an easy one to decide on? I don't know.
It wasn't hard. Right. This is my Beast Wars collection. Diaclone powered razor beams. So I made the joke years ago that I didn't like Beast Wars toys because effectively all it was just people in animals, like man in pig. And then someone told me, no, there's really a man in a pig. Like, I think it was only like 2-3 years ago that I was educated that there is actually a...
This was on the podcast.
literal man in pig. So yeah. This was after I thought that Polar Claw came with a baseball bat, right? And it's like, no, it was a real bat it comes with. So yeah, I bought this here at TF Nation last year. It took me most of the year to get it open. And yeah, it's a pig. Definitely a man inside. Insert Lion King joke. Yeah, look, it's the only one I've got, and therefore it's the best. Oh, and it has a toupee gun.
Yeah.
And the best part is, you can actually transform it so that in pig mode, the gun is pointing out. So it's like powered pig.
Big time.
And that's really all I've got.
He's definitely picked the hammiest choice.
Yeah, stay.
I'm here all day.
How could I compete with that choice? Well, I went for the actual best toy of the line, which is Rampage. This thing, if there are toys that live
but was that on the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air?
No, you didn't mention that. Your segment's over. In fairness, have you seen that bit in the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air where they come in with Razor Beast? What was going on? Man. So Rampage, if there are toys that live rent-free in your brain, then this is surely one of them. I mean, I'm sure like a lot of people, like me, you've watched Beast Wars back in the day, or you've seen it since, and you get to that episode in season 2, spoiler alert, where Rampage first appears, and it's going to leave an impression on you, because it's just such an incredible character, so imposing, so intimidating, and yet the toy lives up to all of that. So it's an ultra class, it's one of the biggest toys in the line, but I also think it's one that does the transmetal concept the best, because the whole thing about transmetals was that it was like robotic beast modes and organic inner robot modes, and this thing literally looks like you've de-shelled a crab and there it is. So it's a completely organic looking robot mode, and yet the beast mode is just one of the most impressive Transformers toys I've ever seen. If you've never seen it actually in reality, the size of it with the claws, the legs, everything sort of fully unfurled, it's absolutely spectacular with this kind of blinging orange chrome as well. It's just legendary.
It looks smaller than the pig though.
It looks what?
It looks smaller than the pig though.
It's significantly bigger than the pig.
Is he wearing suspenders? Is that
This is to scale. These are people. These are to scale.
Not quite to scale across the pictures. He does look a bit like he's wearing suspenders, I'll give you that. Those are his little antennae. But he's got one of those really cool guns as well. I don't want to pretend that I know the name of all the guns and things like that, but it's super cool. And he's got a tank mode, which has working rubber treads, which, I'm sorry, it's just incredible. So, the Shocker Rack repaint is also really cool, but it flakes like anything and it's really hard to come by. This thing is just about as good as it gets in terms of Beast Wars.
Depth charge better.
I'll go with you, Depth Charge is also very cool, but to be fair, the two as a pair, you can't go wrong. Right, Liam, what have you chosen then?
He doesn't actually know anything.
I'm not talking.
Do you remember what it was?
I remember what Finally, the right side. What even is that?
Don't worry, man.
Okay, this was once again chosen because I like it and not because it's the only Beast Wars toy I have a photo of. But it's a pterosaur. It's, who I have on good authority, was 65 million years in the making. Sorry, I'm just making myself laugh now. So he's a great little toy. It's the one Beast Wars toys that I always wanted, and our fantastic friends got me this for my birthday a few years ago, and it's a great toy. They are cute and adorable. But it's also got the best weapon storage, a little gun behind his neck, like a pillow, not like the butt cheek pillows of that Optimus Primal.
Is that Beast Machine?
Yeah, that Beast Machine's Optimus Prime.
But like, this toy's called, was it called Beast Wars Basic?
It's basic, yeah.
But there's nothing basic about it, and it's kind of, we've lost that I think a little bit in toys. It's just really fun.
There we go.
And it's from Jurassic Park.
Right. So, let's hear it for the pig. Suspenders?
Yeah!
Whatever Liam chose. Suspenders it is. 2, 1, 6.
Nice.
Like last year all over again.
We got time for one more.
I think we've got time for one more, yeah. Okay. I remember hearing quite a loud shout for G1.
Yeah!
Let's do G1.
Here we go.
All right.
Back to the beginning.
0 surprises.
This is, I don't know, there might be. Not your choice though, man. Not your choice, it's not surprising.
Hot Rod! Not just Hot Rod, but Takeover Hot Rod. Okay. This is a toy I desired throughout my childhood. It's not a toy I ever had. I had Optimus Prime. I chose that over Hot Rod. I should probably lose on that alone. But yes, so a friend of mine had Hot Rod when we were kids, and I exchanged Optimus Prime with his Hot Rod for a couple of days just to experience Hot Rod, and I've never been able to forget that toy since. And I don't know if any of you remember back in the mid to late 90s, but Hot Rod and Target Master Hot Rod were actually not everywhere. They were quite desirable, and finding one was an event. And I remember putting together Hot Rods from junkers for months, maybe years, until I finally got a nice one. And nowadays it's obviously a very, very different story. You can even get a pink one. That actually happened. Why wasn't that in the news? That happened in the last year. We got pink Hot Rod, G1, pink Hot Rod. So, I think Hot Rod is the hero of the movie. I know some people don't feel that way, but for me, he makes the movie. There is no movie without Hot Rod. And the toy does not disappoint at all. It's a toy that simply can't be put down. At one point, I think I had a Hot Rod toy in 3 different geographical locations, so that when I was in those places, at work, at home, even in London, in my parents' house, I had a G1 Hot Rod to hand. I'm saying at that point, it's literally right now is the case. And I've chosen the Target Master version because how do you make a toy better? You make it a Target Master. And it's the best gimmick because there's also another robot there. And it's also a really cool gun. And if you get the TF collection version, you get everything. You get Hot Rod, you get his Target Master, and you get the regular Target Master guns and tampos. But as far as G1 goes, when people ask what G1 toy should I get, what would be A, affordable, B, recognizable, C, reasonably accurate, and D, lots of fun, E, I'm not going to ruin it and break it. I know a bit about that. So, this is the guy I would suggest every single time. I don't think any Transformers collection should be without G1 Hot Rod. And if you can get the Target Master version, even better. Easy, easy choice for me.
Commendable choice. Commendable choice. So I've got to tell you, Naz got to choose these first, right? So it was me putting together the slides, and I was like, right, send your pics in and that. And he got in almost instantaneously with all of these photos. I think as a bit of a land grab, I'm not sure. But when I saw that he'd chosen Hot Rod, I was A, not surprised, but B, thinking, well, what am I going to choose now then? Because I probably would have said the same. But I did actually settle on something else, which I kind of came at this from an angle of, if I was to sell my collection and only be able to keep one toy from G1, what would that be? And I did think about things like Hot Rod or Power Master Optimus Prime and things like that. And then ultimately I settled on what I think genuinely would be the one toy that I would keep, which is this.
And you wonder why we call you Lex.
The biggest one.
Hey man, just because you've not been playing with yours. But look, the thing with Fort Max is that, yeah, it's big. It's, for years, was the biggest toy in Transformers, you know, and it was legendary for that. It's also a really damn good toy, right? Like, there's absolutely tons of play value packed into this thing. In a way that, controversially, I may say that you don't always get with big toys in more recent years. Do you know what I mean? This thing has play value like nothing else. It's got little compartments for smaller toys to fit in. It's got a jail in one of the legs. It's got pop-out waist cannons. It's got guns in the arms that pop out. And it's got, my favourite gimmick, by the way, is headmasters. Just saying. But this thing is a double headmaster. It has a robot that flips out of the head and is the same size as your sort of standard Transformers from the era, and then that thing has a headmaster as well. And I've told this story on the pod a few times, but we obviously didn't get Fort Max in the UK growing up, much to our disappointment. But I remember distinctly at school...
Great Yarmouth, apparently.
Yeah, apparently. But I remember distinctly at school, there was a kid that was telling us these stories about this toy that he had. And, you know, we were reading the Marvel comic at the time, so we were like, is it real? Do you know what I mean? And all of this. And he brought in the head Cerebros one day into school, and I have distinct memory burnt into my brain of him flipping it over into head mode and just being like, no! It's real! And for that day, I knew that I, at some stage, would have to have the Fort Max in my collection.
All 3 times.
All 3. Well, then the Encore release rolled around, it just made it so much more accessible. So I felt comfortable picking this, knowing that you can still get the Encore for a decent price. It's not some out-of-sight, non-accessible thing for everybody to get these days. It is doable. Liam, you bought one just recently.
Yeah, like, we are lucky with the amount of toys we've had that sometimes it can be a bit hard to be wowed, but opening this was just incredible in everything I thought it would be. And I can quickly confirm that you cannot use a dog as a headmaster.
It's just got the kind of presence, play value, everything that you would wish for in a toy like this. And of all the toys in my collection that I've sat down and spent time with playing with my son, this is the one that he returns to most frequently. And so for that reason alone, it had to be the toy that I would keep in my collection. But Liam!
I can't remember if you let him off this one.
I already know.
Well, you trolled him on this one.
I know. This is actually his choice, that's the funny thing.
At least we picked the Target Master.
I'm not even looking, but...
You know what it is without looking.
What do you think it is?
Is it G1 Blur, like? I made one thing about let's play a joke on Maz, and now it's backfired in my face. Okay.
It's a good one.
Man, this toy. So I undenied about this for ages. Originally it was going to be Computron, because I thought it's great. But then I thought you can't have 3 best G1 toys and not have Jetfire in there, because that toy is probably the standout of the line. It's so different for obvious reasons, but look at it. It's just amazing from start to finish, and it's just sad they keep turning yellow, but even that's given them some kind of cool vibe now. They just all look battle damaged, and yeah, which other toy can break your knuckles? This is, I think, probably the best G1 toy. It's not my favourite, but I would say I think it actually...
I still hurt my fingers on this thing, even today.
You know it. It's become a feature though. You like it now. Nice ball. Where's knuckles?
Alright, so, voting. Jetfire? Woo! Or Max?
No.
Hot Rod?
Yeah! So that's probably all we've got time for, I guess, on the rounds, is it? I don't know.
I think so. How are we doing for time?
6:20.
We've still got a little bit of time. We've still got a tiny bit of time.
Because you're winning. That
No. if I was winning, I would want to quit now, wouldn't I? I don't know. We got room for one more quick fire round?
Quick one.
Do you want one more?
Yeah. Alright, so, I think we're down to Kano and Sonia now. Masterpiece?
Yeah.
Final Tech?
Yeah.
Car Robots? Yeah, Car Robots. That's this guy. I'm so glad. I'm so glad.
It's nice and wrong.
You think you've got a shoe in with this?
Wait. Just a minute. What have I picked?
Good.
That backfired.
JRX, pronounced jerks. Or Rail Racer. It's trains.
Yeah, like trains.
Over to you. Alright,
You should have come on in Nanorack.
who has owned this toy?
Yeah.
Right. Do you remember the first time you experienced this toy?
Yeah.
First time you saw this toy?
Yes.
It was one of those, I've never seen a Transformer like this before. Oh my goodness, Transformers are doing trains. And they combine. And this was at a time when we had, it was just the wilderness beast years, just endless beasts.
The best years.
Endless beasts everywhere. And then we get car robots. And this is the absolute poster boy for me for car robots. I've sold this toy before when I've decided to try and focus on Diaclone, on growing up, on other things. But I always come back to this toy. And I own it again now, twice. I was trying to buy one earlier today as well. But this is just, I can't get over how good this toy is, because even years later, having owned it many, many times before, when you don't have it in hand for a while and you get it again, or for the first time, all it does is wow you. You're wowed by the paint, you're wowed by how beautiful these trains look together, how beautifully, faithfully created these trains are, how distinct all 3 members are, and you'll notice I didn't put a picture of the 3 of them distinctly, because they are quite funny looking on their own. But the combined mode is, I think it's the best Transformers combiner as well. Because of the way, it was very clearly designed to be a combiner. And that was the original, like, they started with that design, that's what they wanted to achieve. And it really, really shows. This is also an incredibly fun toy. It's not got the frustration of a highly complex combiner, and yet it does accuracy and posability and fun and stunningly well. It does all of those things, and yet it's one of the most enjoyable toys I have. I had it on my desk next to me, I had it in my display, I had it back on my desk, I had it at work, because I don't want to be far away from it. And it doesn't matter if everything else on my shelf is unrelated, this is a toy that has to be on display. It's incredibly, incredibly beautiful, so fun. Each of those 3 trains as well, I don't feel like there's anything shared across them. Like, every member of the team is distinct. They transform differently, they pose differently, they look differently, they just have a different feel to them, and they're very, very full of character. RID, Car Robots, Sonicom, whichever version you get, is just absolutely fantastic. Put toys in a gift set, they're ultimately better anyway. Slap beautiful box art on that gift set, and it's the best thing ever. I honestly don't know anyone ever who has been disappointed by this toy. Ever.
How many times have you sold this toy, Matt?
You know, the first one I sold on eBay in the gift set went for £17. I couldn't believe it. I was just sat there watching it tick down, and that person got a great deal. I contacted that seller a year and a half ago, the buyer, and I said, "Do you still have the JRX I sold you?" "Yeah." "Do you remember I sold it to you for £17? "Yeah." "Would you sell it to me?" "Yeah." "How much do you want?" £250. I said no.
Oh, so it's not worth £250?
See, I broke it.
Shock.
So that one wasn't worth it.
Shock.
Are you saying that the monetary value should decide who wins?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying what it's worth to you.
That's Flexo in action right there. Then I sold one to you.
You did, Sonicon.
I sold another one, and then I bought two more. No regrets. I would sell it again so that I could buy it again and experience it again, all over again.
Good answer. Okay, well, I had a real tough time with this one as well, because there's lots of great toys in this toy line, obviously, but it just had to be this. It had to be.
Yes.
There'd be no other answer. I love JRX, I love Railrace, I love what Liam's chosen as well. But this, to me, is just, when I think of car robots or RAD, this is immediately the thing that pops into my brain. Because, you know what, Optimus Prime has had some incredible toys over the years, and they've, you know, kind of played on a theme of trucks and things like this, and there have been some variances to it, but being a fire truck started here, and it's never been done better than this. It's just absolutely incredible. So it looks and feels like Optimus, but not too much. Like, it manages to kind of eschew the kind of classic Generation 1 formula, so it's its own thing, and yet it's still inherently Optimus Prime in the best ways. The smaller robot mode is tons of fun, superposable for the time, looks great, it's got lovely chrome on the chest and things like that, but then it's when you slap the armour on that it just takes on this whole presence all by itself. And it's not the most superposable thing in its fully combined form, but look at it. Do you really need it to do much more than just stand there and look at as good as that?
Can anyone tell what version he's picked as well?
Fire convoy.
Not just that.
Clear
It's the clear one, yeah.
Classic Flexo.
It was the best photo I had at short notice. It really was.
Because you knew it would win, didn't you?
No, not at all. I genuinely think it's the best thing in the line. And the fire engine mode, I do feel like I'm judging a few of these through my son's eyes, because again, the fire engine mode is one that would never fail to captivate him. And I can see why. It's just an outright legendary Transformers alt mode.
His line is full of them, though.
It's incredible.
His line is full of toys like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So this to me was kind of an obvious choice.
Gas Skunk, wasn't it, Liam? Your one?
What did you choose, Liam? Yeah.
Is this...
Liam, that's the wrong robots in disguise.
That is actually what I chose as well, isn't it? I'm not even going to try and convince anyone as why this toy is better. I'm just going to say one thing, and that is, turns into the police car from Streets of Rage. He usually transforms as anything else, and unfortunately I couldn't get a picture of it in car mode because it doesn't fit into Sixo's dimensions of his photos here. But this is also a great toy. I think it's really underrated, despite being one of the main characters in the show. But it just looks weird as well, and that's what's cool. Like, what is he wearing? I don't even know, but it was cool.
We discovered something about this toy recently, didn't we? The
backpack.
The backpack, the way it clips.
That was a revelation, because yeah, the backpack does actually lay flat apparently, and for years I didn't know that. I don't even know how I discovered it. I think it's because this version, the Car Robots one, comes packaged in robot mode.
Yes.
So I took it out of the blister, I was like, oh, you know, that's how you do it.
Yeah. It made an already awesome toy that little bit more better, didn't it? So,
But it's got an amazing colour scheme.
It's an amazing colour scheme. Yeah.
great choices. I really like the exhaust on the chest. I think that's super cool.
So, JRX. Superfire Flexo. Streets of Rage. Wait, let's hear it again for Fire Convoy.
Make some noise.
Prowl. What?
My knees did not like that.
I think we should stop there.
Fantastic. Right, if you could please click on the little dragon icon in the middle, that would be fantastic.
How good is that icon, by the way?
There we go, fantastic. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. That was obviously a little bit of fun. We did tried to kind of theme how we were going to do this.
Wait, who won?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. Who did win?
2-2-1.
That's right, yeah.
I think that's what it was.
Man's lost, that's fair.
Now starts the physical fight, yeah. Exactly.
That's the real victory.
Wait, what?
We're going to do the physical fight now.
Go ahead.
It's 2 against 1.
Right, that's how it's been the whole time.
That's one place. It's to be involved in it. It's for you two.
RoboSen tagged us on Twitter. They tagged those two, not me. Hasbro share posts on Instagram. Those two, not me. Always. That's why I'm standing over here.
Do you know, it was when we got to the hotel this afternoon and we arrived as a trio because I drove them both here, and then we all checked in, and the lady said to us, "Oh, are you all together?" Yeah, we're all friends, all of that, and gave us the room numbers and all of that, and we set off. And Maz is like, "We're not getting the lift here." And we looked and we're like, "No, we're actually getting in the other lift. We've got rooms right next to one another." And you're just on the other side of the hotel.
To Liam as well. I put you next to your friend. You literally said that to him.
It was just as we were walking down the corridor and you were just looking at us like, what's going on? You had a rant about RoboSen then as well, not tagging you.
Heard they're here.
They are. Right, so hope you've enjoyed that panel. We did just want to give you one final little reminder of our Patreon. Because, if you haven't signed up yet and you fancy it, we obviously really appreciate the support. And it's worth us saying that for as fantastic as this podcast experience has been, we are truly, truly overwhelmed and very appreciative of all the support we've had. Whether people have signed up as patrons, got to get it right, patrons, or not. Just the people that are listening to the live episodes as well, we're super appreciative of all that support. It's been really overwhelming. We do appreciate it greatly. So
Thank you. We do say at the end of each of our exclusive mini-sodes or mini-series that the more people sign up, the more we can do. That's not just something we say. This time last year, when we changed our Patreon tiers and we added the highest tier, if people hadn't signed up to that in the way that they did, we wouldn't have been able to have James Roberts on, because we simply wouldn't be doing that content. And there wouldn't be anything for him to come and talk about. We wouldn't have had Chris McFeely and Paul Hitchens to come on and give us that exclusive movie content. So it has literally been because of the people who signed up that allowed us to do that content. So again, thank you very much. And we do have a special way of thanking our...
We do?
Maybe.
You're going to do it?
I have to.
You're going to do the dance?
No. Or the voice. There's no dance. There's never been a dance.
Lots of people
I sit
saying
when I podcast.
I heard there was a dance.
I told everyone there's a dance. You can't let them down now.
Well, you can dance while I do this.
Damn.
And this is your gig.
Right, so we do also have another perk which seems ridiculously popular for some reason, and that is the patron shout-out. We did promise we would do this live. So a huge thank you to... Can we get the Mortal Kombat music over this?
You'll have to ask David and the team.
Can we? Alright, let's see how it is. If he'd asked, you would have done it, right? So, big thank you to Nick, Danny Roberts, Andy Preston, Chris Spiderfire, Alan Schumacher, Matt, Stephen Perkins, what? Did someone say stop?
No.
We're hearing their names.
You're not getting out of it.
Can we have the music, please, David? There you go, I sorted it for you.
I'll take it. Thank you, Nick, Danny Roberts, Andy Preston, Chris Spiderfire, Alan Schumacher, Matt, Stephen Perkins, Matt, Sally, Justin Messiah, Deborah, Gio Kaiser, Yusuf, John Paul, Troy, Anthony Cox, Captain Rory, Phil G, Phil Jackis, Jack Letty, Redstone, Omar, Lazenby, Premier the Hunter, Vegemite Mike, Peter Hamilton, Shenry, Chris Norris, Jason Moreno. Next is there is Aaron Square, Billy Gates, Andy Gold, Gold Squall, Simon Elvin, Josh Hills, Misha Kier, Cracktastic Plastic, Devastator, Jeffrey Reed, Inbound Lee, John Wood, Carl, Will Time Benji, Ben Lewis, Shinsei, Lucas Angamores, Gurney, Malcolm Hobbs, CNC Rick Factory. I actually said CNC Rick Music Factory. It's not. CNC Rick, 56 Maybe Gears, Zach Lawson, Jason Murray, David Shepard, Steam, Quick Miss, Josh Bell, Ash Paul, Zindios, Kristen Hyatt, Mark Penny, Graham, Robert Connor, Steve Bertrand, Eric White, Robert Pete, Mike Lloyd, Conan Neal, Pat Tara Husky, Chris Wadwell, not Chris Waddle. Steve Roman, Jim Pusey, Shorty Siegel, James Pascoe, Ghost Prime, Jickle, MK Tronic, Holder to Walter. You have to fix that earlier today. Did I get it right? Yes! Alright, Holder to Walter, June Marigold, Chris, Paul Logic, Howard, Alexis Taylor, Gavin, Windows 6K, Ty Dixon, Jerry Woodall, Ross, Jetfly, James, Dogline, UK, Ben, Streaker, Michael Kegel, Paul Duggan, Doug Tron, Big Doug, Squid Catfish, Rob Packerfish, Ali News, Robert R, Heinrad 80, Toy Pocket, Paladis, Michael Brand Campbell, this is a terrible idea. Michael Gonzalez, Spider Bob, James Hook, Random Happy, Collecticon, Chuck Goldbow, Alex Trevelyan, 22, Riley Letts, Emma Galveston, Matthew Dedman, Spencer Butler, Alan Johnson, Anthony Baker, Adam Brady, James Taylor, Dashbox, Simon, Transformer Closet, EMH Richard, Robin Hunt, Carlos Samantha, RHA, Logan Jet, Brian Prime, James Clark, Frank Simo Vakasas, Atlas, David Beckett, Jeremy Canseco, Ben Erickson, Tony Howard, Nicholas Guest, Juan Carpenter, Clark Kick Gaming, Michael Gassiolo, Freedom is the Right, Justin Harbour, Chris Jarminder, John R, and the Mapes Brothers, who you might recognise. You're doing it next year.
Thanks, guys.
I think next year we should do bingo, because you have a future as a bingo caller.
There are people in this audience now that have never heard the podcast that are just like,
They never
what
will
am I
now.
watching? What's going on? So yeah, that is the little Patreon shout out that we do Maz does every episode. You still never make a mistake unless Hasbro.
I made about 7 mistakes in that. I said names that don't exist and nobody knows. Nobody knows.
Could have fooled me. I was asked, and I will say, if you're not planning to go and see the RoboSend panel, which I believe is tomorrow morning, I think I'm right in saying, please do. They're really lovely guys. I know sometimes people are like, RoboSend, what's all that about? Is it not really interested because I want to spend so much money on it? But it'll just be interesting to go and see the thing. So if you fancy giving it a look, and you've not seen these things in action, I mean, they're in the dealer room as well. It's well worth a look, honestly. So it's just a little final pull-up from us.
Big fans of 6 Liam.
And we're big fans of them. And as a final thing, we've done really well for time, can I say? Like, we've finished bang on when we said we would. So we do have time, I think, for a few questions as well, if that's okay. If anybody wants to ask us anything about the podcast or Liam's hatred of G1 Blur or whatever it might be.
Any questions? Oh, here we go.
It's less of a question, more of a comment. That was the worst version of the poker rap I've ever heard in my entire life.
Everyone's a critic.
Yeah. I had one at the front. Who had that? Okay.
No. I'll be nice, Maz, don't worry. So you've done what, about 120 episodes now, maybe? Looking at it.
We've done how many?
120.
What in total? We've done 60 episodes, we've done 53 minisodes, and we've done, I think I'm right in saying it's probably 15 or 16.
No, it's more, it's 24 miniseries.
Oh, right, yeah, 24 minutes.
More, so about 140 something.
Yeah.
I realise this is a horrible question for you all to remember, but which is your fave from each of you? Which was the one that you remember immediately right now that was like, that was great fun?
Beast Wars was a lot of fun. Also, recently, the one we talked about why we do Transformers. Why do we collect as kids? Why do we like them? And why do we do them now? It was just an opportunity to overshare, which was fun.
I've got to tell you, actually, that episode was a good one, because when you floated the idea, and I wasn't sure, I was like, I don't know if what's the concept here? Are people kind of going to get it? Or, do you know what I mean? It was all about why we started collecting as kids, why we were into Transformers as kids, and why we got into collecting as adults. And I think you had a couple of personal things that you had in mind to kind of...
Yeah, I don't think my therapist was available that week, so I just used it as an opportunity to vent. Yeah.
I didn't get it conceptually, but then actually when we started, I was on board, of course, but when we started it was great. It was a really, really good discussion, and it was one of our most popular, I think.
I was just like, cool. Whatever.
Yeah, Beast Wars was the one. I actually think Beast Machines might be mine.
Yeah, that was fun.
I think it was great fun. Neither of these two knew Beast Machines at all, so if you've not heard the episode, it's literally just me dropping pictures of Beast Machines toys into a thread for these two to look at for the first time, completely cold. And I just remember we were in stitches by the end of it.
You know what other episode I really liked? Titan's Return. What happened to that one?
Oh man. Someone didn't have their microphone plugged in, did they?
2 hours of Titan's Return. Gone forever.
The normal ever here, yeah.
2 days of research by somebody.
A year has passed and we still haven't been able to go back and do it. Like, no, we
Can't
can't.
face it. Can't face it.
We will do it again at some point, so.
My favourite was the Starcom episode we did.
Yeah, that was great.
Because the delight on these guys' faces of stuff they've never seen, and particularly Maz now.
I have a Starcom collection now.
That says everything.
One of my favourite toy lines, and it's just nice to introduce it to other people.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Bring it back.
Any other questions?
Over there at the front.
One question, because as you pointed out, you do 140 episodes. How do you still have free time? Do you do things besides this podcast, or how do you still get
Yeah, it's a good question. We record every Monday night. Typically, we have a spreadsheet and a schedule. These two don't look at it, but then I tell them.
We have a project manager.
I tell them what's on the calendar. So we record every Monday night at about 9 o'clock, and we alternate. So one week we record a public episode, then the next week we record a mini-sode and a mini-series. And normally it goes pretty well, doesn't it? It's only if there's like holidays and stuff that we need to kind of adjust. So actually, in terms of time taken up, it's not so bad, is it? We put aside time for it.
Yeah, it's just the editing as well, so we split the editing duty. Each one of us does our own mini-series, we edit that, we do alternate takes on the mini-sodes and the main episodes. So it's just whoever gets numbered with doing the episode that week. And for those of us who have real jobs, I suppose we do it in the evenings. Other people just do it in the daytime, just after they wake up.
Is that right? Well, those of us that don't work a 9 to 5, let's put it that way.
Absolutely right, yeah.
But yeah, no.
And to be fair, you've done a lion's share of the editing.
Well, that's very kind of to say. But it's not so bad, honestly, and it's fun as well. I think we all enjoy it. The editing, the editing is less fun, but overall, I think I'm right in saying for everyone, the whole podcast is fun, isn't it, Liam?
Yes.
I mean, you get to sit there on a Zencaster call with Hasbro. It's fun. Yes, that's fun.
I got to have a private chat with James Roberts while we're sorting out his IT issues of trying to record one night, because that was a hell, wasn't it?
You don't think that's going to happen when 3 middle-aged men decide to do a podcast during COVID like everybody else? I just don't think that's the way it's going to turn out.
But that was a highlight, getting to talk to stuff like that. And the recordings we do, it's like going to the pub with your mates. So
Yeah, we had a whole...
Sometimes.
I think I'm okay to say, we had a whole evening, didn't we, of trying to help James Roberts connect his headphones to his computer. And we had to abandon and do a second evening as well, so, but it was totally worth it.
It was very impressive to talk with all of your nonsense.
Oh yeah.
Andy turned up pissed.
Hey?
Andy turned up pissed.
Yeah, oh yeah! The first time we had him, he was 3 sheets to the wind, wasn't he? We couldn't get it to work, the technology, it was so annoying.
Okay, I think you've got another one over there. Questions?
Yeah, I just want to say, for a podcast hosted by a fast-talking expert and the #1 Blur fan, when's the John Moshita guest spot?
When does what?
When do we get John Moshita Jr. on?
That's a lofty goal, I think, but we would love to do more guest spots, I think it's fair to say. Yeah, so we've got a couple in mind, and names that we've talked about and things like that. We'll definitely, well, I feel confident saying we'll have Hasbro back at some point. Like they've certainly said they want to come back and do more. There's been talk of Evan Brooks coming on to do a stint with us as well, so that would be fantastic if that happens. But
James is free on Tuesdays.
hey?
James is free on Tuesdays.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Are these just more people from us to be jealous about? They don't like him.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
Quick question for you. You talked about people that you would like to have on, or you're planning to have on, but not to give anything away. Who would be your absolute, for each one of you, who would be your absolute dream guest to have on?
Wouldn't it be great to have some Takara designers on?
Yeah, that's a good answer, yeah.
Shoji Kawamori would be amazing to have on. Kojin Ono would be amazing to have on. I'd love to have Aaron Archer on. Absolutely love to get him on.
Aaron Archer would be a good shout.
Nick Roach. Be nice to get Nick.
Nick, we've talked about, haven't we? We keep threatening that we might have Nick on at some point.
I'd love to have Jonathan Ross on to talk about Microman. Actually, that would be super fun.
Can we tell him?
I don't know.
Can you say it?
Why would you say it if we can't?
I mean, you've mentioned his name, so...
He's already a listener. So, all we can do is like, would you like to come on the show that you listen
Andy's a
and support? So that would be fun to have one of those guys on.
Okay, we've got time for one more question. Got one down here?
Oh, it's Fancy Dan.
Can I just defend my honour slightly? I just want to make it clear that I don't hate the Prime stuff, Transformers Prime, and that I'm not against all of it. It's just that the Wheeljack is an average toy.
How to shred your own credibility in one sentence.
It's good, but average.
It's not fancy, Dan, it's controversial, Dan is here.
So they took the microphone away from him after that.
He's being escorted out of the building in a minute.
Right, well, thank you so much. We really appreciate your time. Truly humble. So,